Hi, my name is Garrett Green. I'm a partner at the law firm of Nichols and Green, and today I want to talk to you about the criminal offense of reckless driving that the Commonwealth of Virginia has set up and defined as driving 20 miles over the posted speed limit or anything above 80 miles an hour. One recent exception from this past summer is if you're in a 70 mile an hour zone, you have to be going at least 85. But that, for reckless driving by speed, is the universe that we're operating in. Shockingly, the maximum penalties are up to a year in jail, $2,500 in fines, and 6 months loss of driving privileges. I'm going to focus today on more ordinary reckless driving cases, one where the likelihood of jail is either non-existent or very low, and similarly with loss of license, and talk a little bit about how avoiding a permanent criminal conviction is something that's quite important for most of us. People do not realize that this charge, which you might want to write off as nothing more than a glorified speeding ticket, no, it's in the same category as drunk driving, assault and battery, petty larceny, certain levels of drug possession. It is a permanent criminal conviction. For the rest of your life, you get convicted of this, you've got to answer you've been convicted of a crime in the same category as the crimes I've just named. So it's worth fighting off. It's not something you want to just let slip by. It's not like other jurisdictions where it is nothing more than an infraction to drive too fast. So those maximum penalties rarely come into play, certainly at lower level cases. However, many judges will mechanically apply the statute and find someone guilty of reckless driving as soon as that certificate of calibration comes into evidence against you, either by mobile or stationary LiDAR or radar, or by pacing. Pacing being where the officer simply relies on his speedometer and maintains a consistent distance between your vehicle and his or her vehicle for a period of a tenth of a mile or so, and on that basis can say that's how fast you were going. The tools necessary to beat these cases are as follows. First of all, to get a sense of the case and to ideally be able to argue that there's only speed involved with no aggravating factors, very helpful for you to spend a little time writing out what happened, what the officer said to you, what you said back, what road conditions were like. Naturally, I want to argue that there's nothing but speed involved and no aggravating factors, and judges and in jurisdictions where prosecutors are still employed will, of course, go after the officer and ask questions designed to elicit aggravating testimony. Was there tailgating, weaving, changing lanes without signaling? Was there cell phone use? Was there alcohol in the breath? Minor children in the car? Slow to pull over? And on and on. Anything they can think of to make the charge stick. So at that stage, it's not pitching or selling to me. This is for my eyes only. You're actually alerting me to anything that might get used against you, so I'm not sandbagged or caught off guard at trial. It is also nice to have a brief biographical statement, and it's a step that many attorneys skip. They reason that it really has nothing to do with the case, and why would you bother a potential client with telling you about them personally? Well, I've been doing this a while now. I consistently get better results when I know about my clients personally, and I can talk about your hobbies, your interests, your employment, family situation, where you were headed that day. Just talking points. To the officer, to the judge, to a prosecutor, it's just another case. But it means a lot to you and me, and it's important that I humanize you and point out you're a real person with concerns and one who frankly does not want to have to spend the rest of their life answering affirmatively that they've been convicted of a crime. So those are two things that I find very helpful in defending my clients. And then it's extremely wise to knock out an online driver improvement course. There are at least two that I think would be advisable. At a minimum, do one, depending on what your record is. They're both done online. An 8-hour online driver improvement course that, if you happen to be Virginia licensed, is worth up to 5 positive points on your record. And then a 4-hour aggressive driving course, which doesn't provide any points, but is, again, a very pretty piece of paper to hand up to the court. Those, along with possibly some community service, are the only things that you can do to help me help you. Everything else rests on me, my ability to find technical defects, pay attention to what judges on the bench, and how this officer is likely to testify against you. Even though it says you have to be there in person, that is not always the case. There are certain categories of reckless driving and in certain jurisdictions where I feel more comfortable advising my clients to stay home rather than come to court. There's been a little bit more receptivity by the courts to this during the pandemic, to the extent that they recognize that perhaps it's not necessary to have people drive to the courthouse to have their case pled. On the other hand, sometimes it's awful nice to have you standing next to me looking innocent while we go to trial. So that's something that can be discussed and determined on a case-by-case basis, your personal comfort level, and my advice given this exact speed you're charged with and the particular jurisdiction that we happen to be in. That's the nuts and bolts of reckless driving defense. My objective is to get you out of this mess with as little trouble and effort on your part as I can imagine. Already this is causing you stress to find out that you are somehow charged with a crime when all you did in your own eyes was drive a little fast. Hope this information helps. Every consultation is free. Please call my office at 703-383-9222 so we can go over the particulars of your case, what strategies we might employ to your defense, and let you know how I can help you. I hope this information helps. Thank you.